It's interesting actually how we got here. A good friend of mine was a banker in New York, and we were attending a cocktail party at the Russian Tea Room on West 57th Street in New York. And he said he had a very good friend at Westport Bank and Trust who had this asset which he thought we might have an interest in called Longshore. So he explained a little bit about it and the fact that the bank wanted to get repaid their note. And I spoke to my wife about it that night. We were living on the Upper East Side, and we agreed that we would rent a car and come up one day the following week. This was in February 1982. And as you can imagine, in the winter around here it's pretty quiet, and we didn't really know where we were going. And we eventually drove down the long driveway. It was foggy outside, and there was one light on at the inn at Longshore. And we very nearly drove into the Sound because we didn't know, there was no lighting to delineate where the parking was, the property line and stuff like that. And my wife said, we're not doing anything up here, let's go back to New York. So I persuaded her to get out of the car, and we went to the bar. There was no one there. And eventually we went into the kitchen, and the trustee, Michael Seiden, was wandering around the property by himself. And we asked if we could have a drink, and he said yes, and we explained why we were up here. And he was, of course, interested in trying to get someone to buy or take over the inn at Longshore as the trustee in the bankruptcy court. So he very kindly bought us a drink. And I said, well, what was your revenue like today? And he said, well, if you paid for the drink, it would have been whatever you paid me for the drink. We had no other revenue. So we went back to New York, and to cut a long story short, we spent 2 years dealing with the town. The mayor at the time was Bill Seiden. And there were other people that were interested, like Jim McManus from MCA and various other people, but Bill Seiden felt for one reason or another that my wife and I were the people that would do the best job for the property. Needless to say, no money had been spent on the property, so when we took over and signed the lease with the town, 1st of September 1984, we closed the property down and reopened it on June the 7th, 1985, having spent approximately $750,000 of improvements to reposition it in the marketplace. And the first 2 or 3 years were a struggle because a lot of the customers, particularly the wedding clients, still felt it was in bankruptcy. That's what they remembered, that's what they had read about over the years, and they didn't want to make a commitment to a property that in their minds they were unsure as to whether it was going to be open or not. But over a long period of time, and being here 26 years now, we've been able to rebuild the business to the success it is today.